Hey there, my friends. Thank you so much for all of you who took the time to purchase our third through fifth grade reading practice tests, and as well as our sixth through eighth. I promised I would be making videos from the questions, and I have this week available to model some of the videos for you based on the questions that several of you have asked me to guide you on through messenger, email, and on my wall. So I thought I would start with one that I thought was quite unique. I hadn't seen a question like this one since the revising days, where the answer to the very first revising question was actually in the instructions of the passage, not in the actual passage itself. So before I show you the question that I made, I want to show you one from the eighth grade reading test from 2021. And this is my theory. If they choose to give additional instructions, because I instructions, I directions, they're similar. First, your kids will see the directions. It says read the selection and choose the best answer to each question, then fill in the answer on the answer document. And then for some reason, they chose to, on this poem, add some instructions where basically it was a summary of, of what the poem was about, a focus, if you want to say that, and perhaps a theme, which just happened to be one of the questions. So instead of having you guess what I'm talking about, let me go ahead and show it to you so that you can kind of see why I included one of the questions for you sixth through eighth grade teachers. So here it is. This is on the eighth grade test. And for those of you that have been to my trainings or been watching some of my videos, everything in a passage of any type of selection ties together. And so this one, we'll use ties as in on the top of the paper, there's a T called the title that helps me understand the topic and perhaps the message, the theme. And as I mentioned, there's also some directions first and instructions, which just happen to be uh, instructions happen to start with the letter I, so I drew two little eyeballs. So your students will read the title, capital escape. That's something that you do. You move from one place, transition, to another place, teeter, transition, totter. So the summary slash focus slash theme says, in this poem, purpose, Margarita Engel writes about her experiences growing up in Los Angeles, California. So her experiences is the E of ties. And because poems are written in stanzas, all of these acronyms from the word ties kind of fit together. Specific supporting sentences. If it was a play, then it would be scenes. If it was just a regular informative or a fictional passage, it would be specific supporting sentences that turn into paragraphs that have topic sentences, main ideas. Okay, so that you can tell based on the focus, the central idea written before the poem, that it's going to be about her experience and how she prefers her summers that she spent on the island of Cuba, her mother's homeland, than the place that she ends up going to during the year, or perhaps is there now as an adult. So when you look at question number 25, it says, what message does the poet hope to convey in the poem? A person's memories become more significant as one grows older. Moving to a new place offers a new, important, and unique and important opportunities. It sounds like she prefers the old place. The best way to remember a person is to visit the place where that person was born. That's um, not specific enough to what the instructions and the title gave the escape. A person's sense of identity is often linked to a meaningful location of one's past. So the location of one's past, this got only 63%. D. And so the message was kind of secretly written inside the instructions. So what I'm trying to say is it's entirely possible that the state could give your third through eighth graders a blank verse or rhyming poem that has a little message or a central idea or a focus as well. So with that in mind, one of my questions, question number 1 on the 6th through 8th grade test. Remember that the 8th grade question about theme got 63%, which is not too bad, but still less than 2/3. And a question like this one on question 1, in the first stanza of the poem, the speaker is mentioning the marchers down south, most likely refers to. So we're going to look at line 4 because that's where the marchers down south is mentioned in stanza 1, and the instructions to find out which of these 4 marchers down south could it be. Are we talking about some soldiers getting ready for battle? Well, if there's a war going on and it mentions the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, possibly a high school marching band in a parade. If we're in a school setting, that's positive. A protest of church members. So if it's possibly something to do with church members getting angry about something, or a protest about racism. So when I take you back, we read the question, and I've read stanza 1 in the passage. I've underlined in both places. I've labeled and highlighted in both places. I'm going to eliminate 3, and I'm going to select this one answer in the book and in the Scantron. So let's take a look and see how this one that has inferencing that scored 56% in 6th grade based on question number 37, a supporting standard, which means that would be something that they would be hopefully able to get in 5th grade. But if the state does the same thing to the 6th graders that they did to the 8th graders, the students might not be able to inference enough about this detail if they don't read the instructions first. So let me show you what I did. There's our T, our title, which we said it helps us understand our topic and possibly our theme. We will read the instructions, both of them, the directions and the summary / central idea / theme. We will see about the experiences that Jacqueline writes about, and we will check the stanza or stanzas that are being asked about. So there's the marchers down south, didn't just up and start their marching. So let's back it up and see. So if this is the red light, backing up as far as you need to would be like the yellow light. And so when I was doing this with some students, we used a red monkey for line that was being asked about. And we used yellow monkeys backing up for lines 1, 2, 3, the title and the directions to figure out what was possibly being mentioned. And so just like the question from the passage in 8th grade, unless your students read these instructions, they might not be able to infer more directly that the marchers down south were because of racism. So we've got the typical directions. In this poem, Jacqueline writes about her experience growing up with a culture of racism. Very important topic, central idea. So this poem is written from the point of view or perspective of a girl who has experienced racism in her life in the city of Brooklyn and the state of New York. She learns from her mother that everything happens for a reason. Okay. Even the marchers down south didn't just start marching. It was part of a longer, bigger plan, one made from God. So I don't see anything about a band based on that. I didn't see anything about the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, or the Marines. So it's either a protest of church members or a protest against racism. So the only real one that you can infer, because it doesn't say anything about church members, the title does say fate, faith, and family, a poem written in free verse. Okay, so it's got 3 topics, but it never refers to angry church members here. And because we can only base it on the first stanza, line 4, and anything that came before it, then we would have to infer that it would be a protest against racism. And so the students from 6th grade who had a question like this only got 56% correct, which was even lower than the 63 written about. And so I just want to suggest to you that if you haven't already been doing so in 3rd through 8th grade, instead of just having the directions there, have something, maybe have your students write a central idea. And, for my graphic organizer, let me grab it real quick since it's really close to me. When you look at a passage, at a selection, you see the eyeball there. What's the focus of this poem? What's the central idea or the controlling idea? What's the theme? What's the position? What's the thesis? Well, they weren't trying to convince anybody of anything. They were just having the message that everything happens for a reason. The good, the bad, the ugly, life, death, even racism, um, the negative experiences that Jacqueline had as a child brought her to the person that she is today. And if you go on and read the poem, I love the part in the poem where she's folding laundry with her mom, and she's even making an analogy of separating the laundry by colors, not to mix any colors in the laundry because it causes permanent damage to the clothing. And she comes out of that and makes an analogy to life where maybe we should all just stay by colors so we don't have any damage to ourselves or each other. But she does make a statement in the poem that she hopes that one day maybe we can all be gray and we'll all just get along and be happy. So I just thought I would start with that one for you 6th through 8th grade teachers. Number 1, because it was a unique way of questioning that I hadn't seen before. And number 2, because it just happens to be the first one on your practice test. God bless you guys. Please be sure to share or tag your reading teacher friends who have purchased this. There's hundreds of you. Like my video on YouTube and here on Facebook, please, and share with your reading teacher friends as we have a couple of weeks to prepare for this test and a couple of decades possibly to hopefully prepare for life without racism and learning how to get along with each other, where we can just mix all of the laundry together, regardless of color, because that's what I do anyway. I just don't put any bleach. So maybe that's why I don't have any problems. And I love anybody that I come in contact, like that song says, red, brown, yellow, black, and white. They are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children and the big adults of this world. Thank you guys. Take care and have a blessed week.